How do you become a successful salon owner, business owner? What is the path to get there? And how is it done? On with me today is Jason Everett. Hello, Jason. Welcome to the show.
This guy, who is this guy? Good to be on. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. Congrats on all the new success on the show. It's doing great.
Thank you. It's so good to have you on. You are listening to the Profitable Salon Owner podcast, where we talk about all things salon owner, running business, personal development. We're a one-stop shop to understanding and getting deeper, having a deeper connection with your salon. So today we are talking about success and what that means. So Jason, I'd love to know in more of a general term, like what is success? Like what would you define success as?
Yeah, I mean, success, so many complicated definitions of success, but I think success in life is doing what you want when you want to do it with the people whom you want to do it with. And I think that's success. You know, it's really hard. I've been in rooms where people make most insane amount of money that you wouldn't believe. And I've been in rooms with people who have no money and can't afford to put shoes on their children. I mean, I don't know if I've ever said this to you, but like my wife and I were literally in Tanzania, and we were meeting this family in this little tiny room, and this one girl was barefoot, and they said, well, does she not have shoes? And they said, no, she ran over from another village. She ran away from her parents who were beating her, and we've adopted her, but we don't have money to buy her shoes. And it like broke my soul. And my wife, like literally, we're on this trip and we're on the last couple of days of our vacation. She's like, can I just give her my shoes? And my wife gave this girl her shoes and it was like, I have flip-flops. I'll wear flip-flops home for the rest of the trip. It's fine. And it was just, the reason why I tell you that is because success in that family was just having shoes. Like I think having something more that you want that you don't have now can be a level of success. It doesn't always have to be, did you make another $1 million? So yeah, I've seen it at the top and I've seen it at the bottom. It doesn't matter as long as you just have the next thing that you're after, that can be success.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's very fascinating. I actually Googled what the meaning of success is, and there's two different successes, two different versions of it. And it was accomplishing an aim or a purpose, and also a good or a bad outcome of an undertaking. And I think that sometimes people, when they're building their businesses, they can take on success and either, like, it's almost like a either way of like what building their business and what success means for them. So I'd love to know, like, what is the effect of the mind? Like, because success can change. Like, what you think is success can change over time. So what do you think of the effect of the mindset that you can have on success in building a business?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I think if you build the mindset of success, that success is that you're growing on your journey, it's very different than deciding that success is when you hit $500,000 or $1 million. I know I keep using the $1 million. Most people are like, once I hit $1 million, that was it. I remember at 19 years old, I set a goal of like, I want to be a millionaire by the time I think it was when I was 19, I said by 30, I want to be a millionaire. And I think you've heard me tell that story before, but like this idea of being a millionaire, a lot of people have this idea of like, what is that? And there's different types of millionaires. There's the like, you've sold $1 million, you've physically made $1 million, you have $1 million invested, you have $1 million bank account. There's all these versions. But most people, that $1 million is like somehow in their mind is success, right? But what I think I want to just make sure you catch, because you talked about those different definitions of success, is that success is just having a goal and achieving it. So like what's success? Like sometimes it's just like, I do a process called daily gratitude, and every day I set a goal, and the goal is like, what would make today a success? And like my favorite thing I ever wrote down on my goals was just make 10 people smile today. Like, and that was success for the day. Like that was it. Now, did I do other stuff that day? Yes. Did I drag my butt to work? Did I get up? Did I eat food? Did I do whatever? I did all the other things, but like the measurement of my success that day was, did I make people smile? And I'll never forget, because I went to an airport that day, and I thought it'd be really easy in the airport to make 10 people smile. Couldn't get the gate agent to smile. Couldn't get the TSA agent to smile. Couldn't, like, people were like, who are you? And I'm like, it's creepy as a guy to try and get other men to smile. It's super creepy. And then to get women to smile, people think you're hitting on them. And I was like, wow, it's actually harder than I thought it was going to be, even though I was traveling across the country. And, but when you just put your process in just saying success to me is just being on the journey, being better today, like being 1% better, no matter what size your salon is. Like I know people that like success to them is hitting $6 million next year or $7 million. I know people that are like, just not losing my staff today is a success. Like if I did that, that'd be a great day. So I think success, even though you can always define it in a numerical term, I think success is just being in love with the journey and figuring out, I know, and this is my core belief as a person, is that I want to help people see how truly great they can be. like what they're and I want to know for myself what Jason Everett is capable of. And that's why I think people like being around me sometimes. They're like, oh, you're on that quest? Maybe I can be on that quest too. Like, let's go. And it's because I'm in love with the journey. Success to me is just, am I further along on that journey than I was the day before? Yes, success. Done.
I love that, because then like in the other definition of success is good or bad outcomes of an undertaking. So I think that sometimes like
doesn't matter.
How will you like, yeah, like people have like, okay, this is my, like, you want to make people, like you just said, like you want to make people know how like their value and what they're good at. And so when you have those moments when people don't realize that, and it's like not a fail, but it doesn't happen the way you think, how do you combat that? Like, how do you deal with that?
I dealt with one today. I literally in our, we do our high-end training program for our highest end saloners in our CEO program. And I was telling them today, I literally spent an hour unpacking a deal that failed today. I unpacked the deal. And in fact, I shared 3 things. I said, well, number one, the exercise of going through it was really, really valuable. And there was a really good deal on the table. But number 2, probably the most important thing was just that like, I had other outs and other opportunities, but I was like, when I looked at it, the amount of things that I learned in that process, like I felt like through that failed process, I got my PhD in cabinology, like I was looking at some cabins and like, I was looking at all this crazy project. And like, I got so much education out of it. And then here's the thing, not only did I get the education, but here I am educating, 20 other people about the process. And they were like, wow, thank you so much. This was so helpful. And like for the rest of my life, you can't take that experience away from me, even though the deal didn't go through and I'm not going to make money on it and all this other stuff. And I told them like, how much did I lose? They're like, oh, some people would say you lost all that time. You spent, 40 hours researching all this stuff. And I'm like, but I love that. I love the journey and I know that it will be better later. And the stuff I researched a year ago contributed to that deal. And like, I just love learning it. So when you're committed to something you want to learn and master and get good at, you don't care if it's a good or bad outcome for the day because you're focused on winning the entire game instead of the day. So stop worrying about winning the day, worry about winning the year, worry about winning the decade, and then worried about winning like the lifetime achievement of like, was I capable of doing more? Did I live up to, am I better than I was yesterday? If that's the question, I'm successful.
Yeah. How did you get there? Like, I'm like, that's really like, I think
I screwed up a lot. I screwed up a ton.
Yeah. Like being willing to fail. Like I know you've said that before, like don't be afraid to fail because you grow the most in mistakes.
What I've said is, this is quoting myself. I said it one time and somebody laughed at it and it stuck in my mind is like, I've said often, I just out mistake people. Like people are like, I know if like you and I are in a race and we both don't know what we're doing, I'm going to win. Like I say that kind of arrogantly and very confidently, but it's because I know that I will make mistakes and recover from those mistakes faster than anybody else will, because most people, when they make mistakes, they are overly critical and they do it. And like you've heard like goldfish have like a 2-second memory, or you've seen like, whatever the movie is with like 2-second Tom, where he's like, hi, I'm Tom, right? Like you've seen that. Yeah. What is that? 51st Dates, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, hi, I'm Tom. And like 2 seconds later, right? I have a goldfish memory when it comes to failure. One of the hardest things about standing on stage for me is they want you to talk about your failures because they're like, it humanizes you when you talk about your failures. And I'm like, I can't think of any. Like, what do you mean you can't think of any? And I'm like, no, I've had a ton. Like I've closed down businesses. I've had to call friends and say, sorry, I can't, give you $200,000 back or whatever other things. Like I've had some really hard conversations, but in my mind, I'm like, those were never losses. Those were never things like that. And I learned from Robert Kiyosaki a long time ago. He said the people that are winning are the ones who just made mistakes more in private than you've ever seen. And it's like, it's just this idea of like, when you get comfortable making mistakes, and you and I were talking about this earlier on another show, it was like when I did improv comedy, they teach you that not to just be okay with making mistakes, but to celebrate your mistakes. In fact, in an improvisational environment, when you make a mistake, everybody actually cheers and claps for you when you make the mistake. And it's this like fun experience because they want to rewire your brain. The mistakes are not only good, but they should be celebrated.
Yeah.
And I think in business culture, we look down on people who make mistakes, who have closed their businesses or have all these things. And like, it's crazy. I go back to Kiyosaki. He actually said to me one day, he said, Jason, I won't even do business with you unless you've already lost $1 million.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that's a crazy thought. Like, I won't go into business with somebody who's done it. He goes, if you haven't lost $1 million in business yet, A, you're not big enough to work with me. And B, he said, you don't know what it feels like to lose something, so you won't work hard to keep it. And I was like, oh.
Wow. I feel like success, like
Right?
your people's version of success is in like, you have to realize that the mistakes and your outcome and the way that you think about them is in, you have to keep it around your own mindset and not look to other people's like, oh, they made that mistake, I don't want to make that mistake again. And a lot of fear just built up. On the flip side of this and not having the positivity comes the fear. And then you stop and you slow down and you start like being more cautious and you slow down in the race. Like you were saying, that's such a good point.
Yeah, I remember this guy I met with one time, and he said, Jason, I want to know all the answers before I begin so I don't ever make a mistake. And I was like, then you're never going to succeed. And he's like, why is that? It's not a big deal, Jason, for me to learn from everybody else, learn from everybody else's failures, and so I don't make those same mistakes. That would be stupid. And I said, the craziest thing that doesn't come with a manual for success? Parenting. Parenting doesn't come with a manual. And yet here a bunch of people are. Are there screwed up people? Yes. Are there great people? Yes. Nobody comes with a manual, right? And I think it's like, what a crazy, whether you look at it, God, the universe, whatever, what a crazy gift that is to not be like, there's books on parenting. Yes, there's all these things, but like you get handed a baby from the hospital and they're like, go for it. And like the best learns are the ones that you learn mistakes through. Experience. Like that's how babies learn. It's like Buckminster Fuller said, you have a left foot and a right foot, not a left foot and a wrong foot. Ooh. Right. And it's like babies learn by making mistakes and they learn very quickly. But somewhere along the line, we think as people that we have to learn by learning from everybody else's mistakes first so that then we won't ever make a mistake. And school teaches us that. It's BS. That's not how people learn. And I think we learn very differently how to be successful. And if you take this traditional school approach to being successful, that's why you struggle. If you are hard-headed like me and did crappy in school, you might learn that the hard knocks life, which is by learning through mistakes, is a much faster trail to success.
Yeah. I mean, that's why, your second child's always better than your first because
100%.
You
learn the hard way. Yeah.
100%. I love that. So when you're in making mistakes, how do you start to apply that like mindset? So you're coming in, you're in your business and you're learning like, how do we cater like that mindset of mistakes and running with your business? Like the mindset shift, how does what mindset like
how
do you take
get
into a business? Yeah. Like where, cause how
do you as an owner or how do you get your employees to get that mindset?
As an owner, let's talk to owners. Yeah, we'll hit the employees later.
Yeah, well, I just mean like as you like first of all, I'm going to kind of answer the other question first, but like you have to understand that your employees don't come conditioned to have that mindset, and you aren't conditioned to have that mindset either. So like it is a practice. You literally have to rewire your brain, and you do that like in my friend's book, Blair Singer wrote Little Voice Mastery. We talk about that one all the time, right?
Yeah.
Is he talks about celebrating mistakes and like. And I mentioned that from improv comedy. It was funny. I learned it from him, but I learned it in comedy years before, is that like just that idea of like high-fiving somebody after they make a mistake is a big deal. Now, I don't know if you've been at a restaurant before, Kayla, where like somebody drops a plate and some jackass like starts slow clapping them or like, woo! And like they're kind of doing it out of like, idiot pity or whatever. Like, congratulations, moron. But I'm not talking about that. Yeah, I don't mean that type of celebrating mistakes. I mean like where you literally in your brain, you write down all the failures in your life and you like you celebrate every single one of them.
Yeah.
Like you go and celebrate it. And it's like my brain is wired completely differently than most people's because I look at every bad experience, every ex-girlfriend, every failure in an investment or whatever the thing is. I'm like, man, that mistake taught me so much. Yeah. And I was just talking with all these people in Hawaii, all these really high-end mastermind business owners. And like, what the number one thing, and by the way, everybody in that room is a millionaire. Every single person in that room is a millionaire that I was in. And if not 10 times over, there's one guy in there, does $100 million a year. Like it's silly, right? And that's a year he does that much. And you know what's really interesting, Kayla? Everybody in that room has no regrets. No regrets because they know that every mistake made them. Yeah. Not one person would undo a regret of something. They're all like, no, that's maybe who I am today. And I'm like, wow, what a crazy experience. Most people are like, what regrets do you have? And everybody's got a laundry list. What if you were in a room full of people that had no regrets because they believed everything that happened to them happened for them or happened to them for a reason to make them who they are?
Yeah. I mean, even talking as somebody who's like an employee to, a business owner, it's cool because like, and having that mindset and all those people who have that mindset and how it affects when you carry that mindset to your employees, it rubs off. And so like I can speak to like when we make mistakes, like we address it, we talk about it and we move on and it's never brought up again. And so it's like you start with you and having that mindset and then being able to share that with your employees, and it changes the culture and the environment. We start to get stop being afraid of making mistakes and being able to
100%.
have more air to be able to do that. Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to apply a lot of this to the salon owners, building what it means to be a successful salon and applying this mindset to that. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, HPSA listeners, let me ask you this. Are you tired of not knowing what your hair color is costing you on every appointment and watching it chew up your profit? Well, with Salon Scale, we take the guesswork out for you. Using a mobile app paired with a Bluetooth scale, Salon Scale will tell you exactly what your color is costing you on every bowl mix down to the gram. As you mix, Salon Scale will also digitally store your formulas and track how much product is being used in real time, so you can manage your inventory, cover your expenses, and generate more profit in your salon. Use promo code HPSA10 to get 10% off an annual subscription. Salon Scale, the new standard for mixing color.
Welcome back to the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. On with me today is Jason Everett. We've been talking about success in a salon. Man, it's a tongue twister.
Yeah, salon and success all in the same word. It'll mess with everybody. Do you know our initial company name was the Successful Salon Company? Did you know that?
No, but I can't spell successful very well. I have to it always is wrong no matter how much I try. So thanks.
I've never been successful at spelling. It has to stop me, so don't worry.
Although performance, I kind of struggle with too. Anyway, so we have been talking about mindset on around being successful. So if you missed the first half, go watch it or go listen. But now we're going to talk about
do it.
Yeah, do all the things. We're going to talk about bringing that into your business and applying what you make to mean successful into your business. So let's talk about employees. Like, how do you support your employees and having that same kind of mindset?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's in our code of honor. It says mistakes are okay. I mean, that's a big part of it. And we celebrate mistakes. I think, we talk to people a lot about mistakes. I mean, you've been on the crew for multiple years now. You know how it works around here. Is it's okay. It's not totally okay to always make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes once or twice. Or twice. If you make a mistake once or twice, and then occasionally you make that same mistake in the future, totally get it. Yeah. But if you keep making that same mistake over and over again, we got a problem.
Yeah.
And I think the culture, people kind of have this we either all make mistakes or nobody makes mistakes. And I think there's some shades of gray in there, right? Of there's no mistake land, which is straight A students, and there's nobody cares about mistakes, which is a death trap. Right. But somewhere in between of allowing people to make mistakes when they're in their learning phase. I was just hiring somebody yesterday, and I said, listen, your first 90 days here, I know that you're not even going to remember people's names. If we're really honest, you're not going to know who people are. You're going to be who's that person? How do you say their name again? How do you say Subkoviak? Nobody's going to know what's going on. Right. And shout out to Justin on the team, by the way. But you're not going to know much in 90 days. But I do expect that you figure out the intricacies of your job. But I know that there's dynamics you have to learn and all this stuff. And it takes 90 days to get your feet out from under you.
Yeah.
But by that same token, they can be whoever they want for 90 days. So I'm it's a 90-day learning curve for almost everything. But the biggest thing I want people to get in 90 days, and this is really hard when you're evaluating somebody, is my evaluation is not, do they never make mistakes? It's how do they correct when they make mistakes?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what you want to do is create an environment that it's okay to make mistakes, provided you see how they correct. So the way we do that on our team is we do a lot of debriefing. Kayla, have you been in a few debriefs since you've worked
Just
here?
One or two.
And question though, honest question, I don't know. Did you ever do a debrief in any other job you ever had?
No.
Right. Yeah.
No.
That's why I'm saying. So when we debrief, it's an opportunity for you to self-correct. So debrief, right? What worked, what didn't work, what'd you learn? Or the way we do it is we say, what worked, what didn't work, what can we upgrade? That's how we do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Work, didn't work, what can you upgrade? And it's just one of those things that that opportunity allows for self-guided correction. So if I debrief you, I'm hey, Kayla, what'd you do? Well, I like this, I didn't like that. And here's what I would upgrade. I'm great. And as soon as I hear that you're thinking through the upgrade process, I don't have to coach you as much. Because you're thinking through how do you correct it. So I ask people all the time, well, what do you think about that? How did you? And I'm constantly trying to divulge people's mindsets around things. And of course, I'll give direct correction, all those things. But sometimes we'll just do a debrief. And all I'm listening to in the debrief is, how is this person correcting themselves?
Yeah.
Because if in the debrief, they're like, what would you upgrade? Nothing. It was perfect. I'm like, uh-oh. And by the way, I've gotten in trouble for being in that debrief and saying like, you guys are, you're high if you don't think there's anything to upgrade. I've been in that debrief before and gotten in trouble for that one. But I've also been in the debrief where people are really hard on themselves. And I'm like, guys, we need to find something to celebrate. So again, there's a shade of gray. You need to be in the middle somewhere of like, it's okay to debrief. It's okay to self-correct. Don't be too hard on yourself, but don't also pat yourself on the back and say we're perfect.
Yeah.
I think there's a happy medium there that makes sure your employees are there. So build it into your team's code of honor. Big deal. Debrief a lot and make a culture of first mistakes are okay.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So let's talk a little bit into making goals. So in success, so go back to the personal of the salon owner themselves, of like when you're making goals, because you said that you have a life goal of making people like bring out the best and like make people
Helping
know
people see what they're capable of. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. And
sorry,
so,
I've said it a few times in my life.
Yeah. I'll get it tattooed, so I'll never forget it again. So how do you start to align like what success is for a salon, like in your business? Like how did that morph into like, okay, well you have your overarching life goal, but how do you hone in like, okay, here's my business goal so that you can start moving pillars in your business based off of the goals that you have in there?
Yeah. So there is a classic definition of success as a salon. And I think there's two different versions of this. Do you want to look successful or do you want to be successful? And I think this is in the book that I wrote, Profitable Salon Owner. It says, do you want to look successful or be successful? Because looking successful is really easy. Leasing a Mercedes looks successful. And I'm not saying that's bad if you're leasing a Mercedes. I'm just saying like in order to lease a Mercedes, the bar is not that high. Yeah. You know, they do some pretty good lease programs and you can look successful. Buying fancy clothes is not that hard. You work in a beauty salon. So having nice hair, having amazing nails, looking good, knowing how to do your makeup, congratulations, you quote unquote look successful. I think it's really interesting because I'm around a lot of people. I keep mentioning this. I'm sorry. I don't mean to I'm not trying to brag about who I hang out with. I'm just saying I'm around a lot of rich people that don't wear expensive clothes. That, this would be really funny to you. Most rich people, do you know that most rich people have a car that they hide in? They have another car that they drive places when they don't want people to know they have money. Most rich people have a beater car that they take places. It's very interesting. So most rich people don't actually want to look successful. So it's funny when people look successful, you can often tell that means they either have new money or they don't have a lot of money because they're trying to flash how successful they are.
Yeah.
Side note. So do you want to look successful or be successful? So what does it mean to be successful inside a salon? Well, being successful inside a salon means that you are successful by the definition of a business. And by definition of a business, a successful business means you are making a profit. That's why we call it the Profitable Salon Owner podcast, Profitable Salon Owner book, Profitable Salon Owner Facebook group, like Profitable Salon Owner underwear, like whatever it is. Like we want profitable salon because success being defined as in a business means you turn a profit. What does a profit mean? It means in addition to getting paid to operate your business, you also turn a profit on the business that's a reward for the risk that you took to open the business in the very first place. So if you don't know how to calculate a profit, comment profit and we'll fix that for you. But like figure it out because success inside of most small businesses turning a profit. I think most small businesses, my family included, define success as like, well, I kind of have the lifestyle that I want. Well, that's not bad. Like success in lifestyle can be good. Success in your pocket can also be good. And I don't mean you just can buy fancy cars and flashy things. I mean like having income for the future and like taking care of other people and your team is successful and like, their lifestyles are growing and they're able to go buy houses and buy better cars, not because it looks successful. Yeah. Because they are having more success in their life. So, we rolled out our new award that was the 100K stylist this last, just in July. And it was like, we acknowledge people on stage for earning $100,000 a year. And then people were like, when are we going to roll out the $150,000 a year award and the $200,000 a year award and the $250,000 a year? And like, I love it. And I had an esthetician come to me and say, Jason, can we create an esthetician award for $100,000 a year? Cause that's going to be me. I'm going to be that person. And like, that is a great measure of success, right? Is like, how much revenue are you doing and how much profit are you generating? Like, it's one thing to be $1 million salon, but if you don't take home any profit, not that awesome. So it's like, how do you become $1 million salon? Then how do you, as an owner, take home $100,000 a year? How do you take home $100,000 a year as behind the chair stylist, right? And sometimes I know business owners who do millions of dollars that don't even earn $100,000 a year take home. That's actually not a success. They might have success in their personal life or in their time off, maybe, but usually not. They have a business that looks successful, but it's not successful. So I know I kind of danced around a little bit on that, but I want you to hear, like, I want business owners to be profitable. If you're profitable, then you are by definition of a business. The reason to own a business is to be a profitable enterprise that serves clients and it makes the owner money. That's the goal of a business. So fall in love with that process of serving your clients and you happen to make money, that's a great day. But if you don't make a profit as a business, you don't own a business, you have a hobby.
Yeah.
You have to have a profit to be a business. Let's start there.
I love that. I love how, being successful in a salon and to get that profit, there's a whole encompassing. It's not like if you drive for like, I just want to make a lot of money and that's your only, like, that's like, if that is your goal and then you have, that's your only focus, then your salon will reflect that. And if you're only seeking out money, then the rest of your salon will fall apart.
Well, your team won't like it. Your guests won't like it. People can tell when you're just after money. And like, I mean, it's really weird. I've been super guilty of this, of like, I've just been like, I need to make money. I need to make money. I need to make money. And then it's like, so many people are like, wow, I can tell you really need to make money. And it's just like, you act different and like your attitude changes. And this is a weird place to be as a person, but like when you don't need money anymore, people like calm down, they chill out and they're like, no, like I'm cool for a little bit. And you're like, what is it about them? They look like Yoda and a guru. You're like, it's because they don't need money anymore.
Yeah.
They've solved the part of their life that money is not their number one priority anymore because they want to be so successful or something.
So as we start to wrap up, like let's in the drive, like that is what success is. Then how do you hone it down and build a business when like, I want to be profitable, but I think even some people can be driven mad with that idea of like, I just want to be profitable. And they run for the top of that mountain without realizing taking care.
Mission driven, not money driven. You need to be mission driven. You deserve to be mission driven. Your guests deserve you to be mission driven. We are a mission driven organization. Our mission is to elevate the world's perception of the salon and spa industry. If you hang out with me for any length of time, you'll hear me spit that out very, very quickly. We are driven by that mission to serve our clients, and we trust that the money will follow the mission. The mission does not follow the money. And that's true in almost every area of your life. If you are clear about the mission you're trying to serve and what you want to do and who you want to help, money will follow that if you stay true to it. Here's the only problem. Mission-driven organizations aren't profitable from day one. They have to really drive hard. You can have a profitable business that's very money-driven, right? If you're money-driven, you're like, everything has to make money and we're only going to do this if it makes money. If you're mission-driven, you can say, I want to be profitable, but it starts with the mission, and you only will invest in things that support your mission and your finances. So it's not that money's not important. Money's just a secondary, right? Is the mission has to serve, and I say it has to serve three people inside a salon. It has to serve the owner, and it has to serve the staff, and it has to serve the owner, the staff, and it has to serve the clients that walk through the door. If it serves all three of those things, then you're on mission and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Right. And if making money doesn't serve the owner and it doesn't serve the guest and it doesn't serve the staff, it's not going to work either. So all of those things have to be in play, and it will make sure that you are a mission-driven person and success will follow a good mission.
I love that. So to be successful, it means to have a profitable business. And in order to be a profitable business, you have to figure out what your mission is. You have to drive for that mission and let that be your driving force, and the money will follow.
And about 50,000 other things that are really important. But yes, at a high level, that's it. Yeah, you do have to know a lot of things. But I think it's a great frame if you're a business owner trying to say, am I off track? Because if you're off mission, you'll feel it. And if you're like, I don't have a mission, that's the problem.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much, Jason. This has been, as always, I always learn so much in chatting with you. So thank you for hanging out with us today. And if you're watching and listening, let us know how we can support you in your salon. We'd love to support you in any way that we can. So thank you for listening, and thank you for joining us on the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. See you next time.
Woo! You've been listening to the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a review, and check us out at profitablesalon.com for more episodes, content, and to help you turn your salon into the business you've always dreamt of.